Okay, so if you just watched my video on the mini beast of Lil Pump, you've seen that I talked about the 1985 song made by J. Cole. I called it kind of narrow-sighted and tone deaf, and to be fair with you, after listening to it a couple more times, I have to admit it's not as bad as I thought. There are some parts of the song that I don't necessarily agree with, but for the point of this video, we're not really focusing on the song. We're actually focusing on the 1985 effect, coined by Blackie Speaks. The idea of this effect is basically that the SoundCloud wave was always destined to fall off. Every rapper that tried to chase clout and pull antics was never going to last, their fan bases would eventually outgrow them, and they were always destined to end up on Love and Hip Hop.
Is that I have anger management issues, and I've learned how to calm myself down, and I've learned how to be the better person. So stop. Stop. I'm out.
Eventually this idea would spread all across the internet, and people have made countless videos talking about the 1985 effect and how it killed the entire SoundCloud wave, but I heavily disagree with that. Because by my interpretation, we have to look at two things. Did the entire SoundCloud wave actually fall off? And second of all, did clout antics and vapid music eventually die as well? Because within this song, J. Cole talks about how this new era of rap is a complete fad. Anybody who chases trends is destined to fall off, not have a long-lasting career, and of course, that type of music would eventually completely die off. Don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with that. A lot of people do try to chase trends and eventually end up falling off, but what I'm saying is the pendulum never swung. We never went back to lyrical rap. We're still in the era of vapid music, and if anything, vapid music is even more prominent since the rise of TikTok. In 2017, you would get a rapper who had absolutely nothing to say, jump on a distorted beat, and just rap about the same thing for 2 minutes straight. Nowadays in 2024, you get 10 seconds of a song of somebody repeating the same thing over and over again. To say that that type of ignorant rap completely fell off is not true. If anything, it even got more prominent. Now, this video is not made to say basically the world is over and all music sucks now. I'm just saying that if you're going to say that that style of music died off and the SoundCloud wave had no influence on the type of music we have now, you're just wrong. Hey, I know, the music is only one small part of the overall SoundCloud pie. There's also clout antics, and of course, those eventually died off, right? I mean, no, they're even more relevant than they were back then. There's even a woman who got famous for putting Gorilla Glue in her hair, and I know what you're thinking, she's not a rapper, so why does it matter? Okay, fine then, if you want a better example, we can look at the Island Boys. They recently popped off in 2021 for the exact same reasons that the SoundCloud rappers popped off in 2017. Tattoos, crazy hair, antics, it worked again. But I hear what you're saying, those guys are SoundCloud zombies. They're a one-in-a-lifetime type of thing. They just got famous because they're so stupid and white tubers didn't know about them. That's the reason, right? Well, probably, but what about Mario Judah? What about Joker 305? He even popped up once again recently because people started to take notice of him again. We got all the guys from Opium. Over and over again, there's still a lot of clout antics going on in the wave, and it seems to work time and time again. I mean, look at the recent XXL freshman list. It's basically all meme artists. We got Too Rare dancing, we got Coil Ray twerking. They can't even rap, but once again, they get famous. So clout antics are alive and well, my friend. So now that we've established that both clout antics and vapid music still exist and are at the forefront of the music scene, we have to look at the actual thing that matters. Did the SoundCloud wave fall off for the reasons that J. Cole said they would? I'm not going to sit here and argue with you and tell you that the SoundCloud wave didn't eventually fade out. I mean, the app doesn't really bring any more stars, and the last real big person we got out of there was probably Lil Tecca. But it's about the reasoning that actually matters. Why did all these SoundCloud rappers eventually fall off? Before we look into that, we have to see who's included. Are we talking about people like Bones, Denzel Curry, Kodak Black, 21 Savage? Well, no, of course not. Because already that pokes a big hole in the whole SoundCloud wave 1985 effect narrative, but let's try to give him the benefit of the doubt and just talk about the rappers he probably meant. He's talking about the people who have the colorful hair, the people who are on Instagram, the people making that more trap, heavy, distorted type of music. You know, your XXXTentacion, your famous Dex, your Ski Mask the Slump God, Lil Pump, Smoke Perp, Lil Yachty, Playboy Cardi, Lil Uzi Vert, Ugly God, anybody who comes along with that wave. But even just with the artists that I mentioned here, I feel like we have a pretty diverse set of rappers. So I feel like the best way to try to tackle the whole 1985 effect is to look into each of these rappers and see the real reason they fell off and see if it kind of matches up with the whole thing that J. Cole was saying. Of course, the first and foremost that we have to look into is Lil Pump and Smoke Perp, the two rappers that this song was actually aimed at. These two rappers fall off? Well, no question whatsoever. They definitely did. But did anybody really expect them to have a long-lasting career? Does it really take that much wisdom to look at these two rappers and say, yeah, they're probably not going to be around in 10 years? I mean, overall, they're not even really rappers. And this is why I always thought Lil Pump was a terrible example to be the poster boy of all the SoundCloud rap, because even when I was in high school in the prime SoundCloud days, nobody actually listened to his music. To put Lil Pump in the same category as people like XXXTentacion, Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty, Playboy Cardi just doesn't doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It really more so fits in with people like Boot Gang, Supreme Patty, Bad Baby, Lil Tay. He wasn't really a rapper first and foremost. He was more of an Instagram star who happened to rap. And yes, he had hits. Yes, he got a good musical career off the back of his Instagram fan base. To look at him as a representation of the entire SoundCloud era, it just doesn't make sense. He never was a rapper first and foremost. He never thought about his music. He never tried, and he always just wanted to be kind of a celebrity who happened to rap to make some more money on the side. That's it. You know what? As obvious as it was that he was going to fall off, we're going to give it to J. Cole. He can get his first victory to the 1985 effect, and while we're at it, we'll throw Smoke Perp in there because he also fell off. Although, to be fair, I think the real killer of Lil Pump's career is actually that he got lazy and he got outdone, because eventually 6ix9ine would come out. Now, this is a very interesting one to look at, because would 6ix9ine have fallen off if he never snitched? Well, I personally really do not think so. Am I saying he would have been around for 10 years? Probably not, but I think he probably would have got 5 to 6. I mean, look at the point he was in his career when Dummy Boy came out. He was getting features from Nicki Minaj and Kanye West. And yes, I do hear you. I know Lil Pump also got a feature from Kanye West, but that was more of a joke, and that was at the very tail end of his career, where 6ix9ine was only ramping up and already getting big name features. Lil Baby, Tory Lanez, Young Thug, everybody was taking notice. I do think eventually his beefing and clout antics would have got the best of him, and I do think it would have burnt out, but I think he still could have had a pretty good musical career. All he would have had to do to have a long-lasting career is keep doing big name features and watch the money roll in. I mean, I guess we'll really never know what would have happened if he didn't snitch, because now that that's happened, it kind of muddied the situation. But overall, I'm going to say I don't think that he would have burnt out as fast as Lil Pump, but let's just leave that somewhere in the middle. So we'll say that he didn't really get taken out by the 1985 effect, but we can't say if he would have eventually. So next up, we got somebody like Lil Skies. Well, he just got lazy. He had a lot of talent, he was a great rapper, and I think he could have made it far, but for one reason or another, he just stopped dropping. Could have been label issues, it could have been the fact that maybe he thought he was in a comfortable spot and he didn't really need to go as hard as he did before, but for one reason or another, he did eventually end up falling off. But look at him nowadays. He's still making music with Lyrical Lemonade, he still gets big name features. Sure, he's not the biggest rapper in the world, but to say that he completely fell off without any hopes of coming back is just not true. But we kind of have to say that he survived the 1985 effect. And then we got somebody like Trippie Redd, who had multiple albums that did well. And this is somebody that when he came out, nobody expected him to last long. He kind of blew up off memes, he beefed with 6ix9ine, it was a lot of clout stuff going around. But 7 years later, he's still relevant. And yes, you can argue maybe he's starting to kind of peter out in 2024, but 7 years after 2017, still being relevant and still being talked about by people, I can't say that's a death to the 1985 effect. Are you seriously telling me that somebody like Juice WRLD wouldn't still be on top of the world if he was alive right now? That guy was only going up and up and up. There was no way he was going to burn out. You got XXXTentacion that I don't think a single person would argue wouldn't be on top of the rap game if he was still alive right now. I mean, maybe he would have went to jail, but that's a discussion for another day, and even if he did, that wouldn't be a death to the 1985 effect. We're starting to see that more rappers made it out of that effect than actually got taken out by it. But let's be fair, I'm picking and choosing here. I'm only picking the most popular ones. Let's look at Ugly God. He petered out. Well, he stopped making music. Is that because of clout antics eventually burning out? No, he got lazy. Laziness killed his career. Then we got Famous Dex. Why did he burn out? Because people stopped caring about him? No, if you look in his comments now, people still want to see him win. People still care about Famous Dex. He just started doing drugs. Eventually, because of that, he stopped dropping music, he got lazy, he went to rehab, he couldn't make music in there, and his career ended up petering out as well. Once again, not a death to the 1985 effect, more so drugs. Lil Xan, YBN Namir, it's all different reasons. There's all different reasons that people fell off. It's just not one all-encompassing 1985 effect. Everybody was destined to fall from the start. I really think the SoundCloud wave could have went farther, and the reasons that it actually fell off was label interference, too many drugs, and of course, laziness. A lot of these artists didn't realize that they had to keep working, keep making music, and keep doing antics to eventually get themselves noticed over and over again. They just thought once they were famous, they'd be famous forever. And I hear what you're saying. Well, that's the 1985 effect. Their antics didn't last. It's not the fact that their antics couldn't get them noticed anymore. It's the fact they stopped doing it. They got lazy, they got tired of fighting with the algorithm, and they realized that overall, they didn't really care. People who do not care about music and just want to be famous to be famous, of course, are not going to keep working at music. But people like Axe, Juice, Peep, who are actually dedicated and really wanted to be a musician and do something with their music, they would have stuck around. It's super unfortunate to see how a lot of these artists who really would have changed the game never got the chance to live as long as they should have. They definitely would have switched their styles, tried different things, made albums that really succeeded. They would have changed the entire game, but they never got the chance. So to chalk up the whole death of SoundCloud to the 1985 effect is just not right. I made a whole video talking about the real factors that went to the death of the SoundCloud wave, so if you want to check that video out for more context about what I think about that situation, definitely do so. But for now, all I have to say is that I feel like the 1985 effect is complete bullshit. I know nowadays people like Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi, a lot of people say that they're changing, fading, fading and eventually they will fall off, but that has nothing to do with the fact that they were always destined to fail. That has to do with the fact that the music industry is changing in a big way. The real killer of the SoundCloud wave is actually labels. They took all that homegrown music, that stuff that people were just making in their bedrooms, everything that we loved, the community, took it, bought it, and sold it back to us in a way that we didn't even recognize. And now they have the entire music industry by the balls, making vapid TikTok music that people listen to, and nobody has the focus to actually seek out any new talent. So when people say, oh, rap is dead, SoundCloud's dead, everything's dead, well, there's a very simple solution. There's one thing you have to do. You have to take your eyes away from the normal music that's playing on the radios, all that vapid bullshit, and actually look for artists that you like. It's up to us now to actually make the new musical waves. We have the ability to do so. Anyone can make music right out of their basement, right out of their room, right out of anywhere. So we got to listen to that type of music. We got to support small-time artists. If you want a different style, listen to that different style. But if you don't want to do that and all you want to take notice of is people that are promoted on DJ Academic's page, stuff that's promoted to you on TikTok, anything that comes into your Instagram algorithm, and then complain about the state of the music industry, then don't complain because you're part of the problem. So stop watching these doomer videos about how the world is over and how music is dead and it will never come back. There is going to be a resurgence, I promise you, but what you have to do is just try to seek out what you like. If you like a certain type of music, go find what you like and listen to it. And if you don't know what you like, then listen to something new. And if you don't like that, try something else new. Just keep trying, keep experimenting. But overall, all I have to say is that the 1985 effect had no idea what was coming. People might have considered the SoundCloud wave the worst thing that ever happened to music, but I think we can all agree now we would all take it back over this new TikTok industry bullshit. So hey man, go listen to some trap metal. Shout out Knife Gang. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time. Subscribe. I got a Discord server. That's it. Goodbye.